so that we'll stay here.
Thank you, Lee. Beautiful answer. Our next question is Sequoia from Brisbane, Australia. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly, Sequoia. And again, we'll see this similarity with Gabriella from Ireland, because her question to Kryon is that I gave pure intent, I chose with my higher self to exude compassion towards everyone and everything in life and towards myself. However, I tend to allow myself to get caught up in negative emotions when faced with constant negative family members. As a result, I will end up allowing those emotions to control me. What spiritual tools can I use when I find myself creeping into those old patterns so that I can be more compassionate and loving towards them?
So here we go again. I'll say welcome to humanism in this year. We're doing this in 2021. So this is part of what so many are feeling. Those frustrations are everywhere with everyone, all of us. Everyone I know has a limit of how much negativity they can take before frustration kicks in. So here's the first thing I want to tell you and anyone else who is feeling this. You haven't failed. You have not failed. Do you want to write that in big letters, some on a sticky for your soul or something, or so you'll understand there's nothing wrong with you here. We're all working this puzzle together. We have old patterns we're learning to eliminate. That's part of it as well. Everything seems to be coming to a head. Second, here's what I do, and this may not be what you do, but I had frustrations too, especially when the transition to me was happening from being the old Lee to the new Lee, but it took 3 years for this to even settle itself out. I visualize that I'm watching a play. Let's say I'm at dinner. I have people who know what I represent. They're making fun of me. Some of them are family, some of them are friends, and they do. You know, what ETs have you met today, Lee? And all the negativity that starts going around regarding politics and all for years. I decided I'm watching a play. And I have a sacred place I go to, and those around me never know it. See, I don't check out of the group. I'm very careful. I know what they're saying, what's going on. But I stay and I practice being peaceful. It's almost like I say, here comes, here comes, here comes. So I go to this place. That's, for me, the place is very similar to the Circle of 12. The most interesting thing happens when you're peaceful and all around you is anger and negativity. And some of you have seen this. Watch the reactions of those around you, like what happened to me, when they realize that you're no longer playing the anger game with them. You're not responding as they expect. Usually, in my case, they stopped asking me to participate, since I'm not perpetuating the negative conversations by my smiling silence. They know that they've lost me to the game. I didn't check out. I'm there. I'll say things, but I won't correct them. I'll say positive things, but honestly, they've lost me to the negativity game. I remember one time I had so completely removed myself that when someone called me a name, literally a New Age freak or something else like that, I didn't react. And there was this silence, and I realized they were furious. I had triggered something in them by my peacefulness. My peacefulness and lack of reaction made them angry. I'll never forget that one because it's really a telling thing, isn't it? About, I would say, karmic reactions or your plan and their plan that we're talking about. You see, light does that. It wins over the negative, and the darkness doesn't even have a chance. So you're sitting there exuding light and it makes them mad. By the way, I stopped being asked to those gatherings, those dinners, those parties with my friends. Funny, I was the quietest one, but I was the one who was making them the most angry. Again, you don't place yourself above them. It's not a holier than thou thing. You participate. They're your friends, but not negatively. But rather, I just never had anything negative to add, and perhaps you wouldn't either. So you remove yourself, and they react. Don't allow anyone to define you or put you into the game and press those buttons. It's just not worth it. Do you have anything like that you've had?
I think I like your answer, and now I know what you're doing sometimes at the dinner table.
No, that's different. I'm actually sleeping. When we, because there's no negativity around our dinner table. But have you had that with friends? And yeah, I mean, your awakening has only been in the last 10 years or so.
Yes, I do also try and put myself outside of myself to help with that. And I just respond in very monosyllable terms where I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
I'm just allowing them to voice what they need to.
Can I tell you that it's almost an art?
Yes.
To you, how can you have the discussion without joining in the negativity?
Yeah.
And so I've often prepared myself to say, what can I say that's not negative but still tells them that I'm there?
Yes. Okay, so we need to now move into a meditation, prepare for the channel. And in this meditation, I'm actually just going to be doing an exercise Kryon describes as the mirror. I honor you. I honor you for your kindness. I honor you for your courage. I honor you for your compassion. I honor you for your love. I honor you for your thoughtfulness. I honor you for your persistence. I honor you for your intuition. That intuition that has placed you here, right now, in a connection with Spirit, so that you may feel, sense, and receive that unconditional love that Kryon has for you. And I invite you to close your eyes so that you may now receive the message from Kryon and the third energy of love that is present for you.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. We speak in this series about innate. Now, if you haven't heard the first message, this may be mysterious. So we invite you to go back and listen to that. Because that message is, what is it? This message is going to be, where is it? Let's review the first in order to give you a summary. The innate has been called the smart body. Those who use kinesiology, muscle testing, count on a body that knows more than your consciousness does. Imagine that. You sit with your own cellular structure that you've had all of your life, and yet you have no idea what's happening inside it. Truly, think of this. You could have something growing in you, perhaps a disease, and you have no idea. But bells are going off with the innate. It knows exactly what's wrong, when it started. It may be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before something happens that you recognize that takes you to a physician. The innate will have known it at the moment it started growing. It's a smart body. So you have to acknowledge that there is something inside you that is more aware than you are of what is going on with that which you would call your chemistry, your health. Oh, but there is so much more. Is innate involved in consciousness? Well, in order to answer that, we're going to have to talk about, where is it? Now, this is a question that has even been asked by those members of the Circle of 12 experience. Where is innate? Is it part of this? Is it part of that? Now, this may or may not answer that for you, but I'm going to give you some metaphors. Dear ones, you're facing a child, and the child says to you, where is love? It's a good question. When you love somebody, where is it in your body? Okay, I'll be patient while y'all answer. Because this is a tough one. Well, everyone knows it's in your heart. Or is it? It can't be. Not really. That's the organ that pumps the blood. That really doesn't have anything to do, truly, with love. Now, it might, because they've discovered neurons in the heart as well as the brain. So maybe the heart thinks a little, but that's still not love. That is the symbol of love, and it is worldwide. Where's love? Well, you'd say, well, it has to encompass the brain. The brain, then, is where love is. It's a conscious decision. It's completely and totally brain-oriented. And then someone will say, perhaps the child, I saw two people in love, and it was like they went crazy. They didn't even think logically. How could it be in the brain? The brain's supposed to be a smart thing. So you start realizing, well, maybe it's not totally in the brain. You get to a place where you'll tell the child, it's beyond anything where there is a place. It exists in the whole body. And that's where love is, dear. And the child will walk away probably without understanding where love is, but also will totally understand it isn't in one place. Innate. Very, very similar. If you look at innate as the smart body, the one that responds to homeopathy, the one that heals cellular structure, it has spontaneous remission, and all of these things, innate that responds to the placebo effect that we talked about, where would that be? Well, you'd say, well, it must be in every cell. It's the chemistry of the body. That's where innate is. It has to exist in some place, because it knows all about cellular structure. It knows everything about cellular. It's got to be in the chemistry. Let me ask you. You go to a very, very good physician who then looks at you, does the x-rays, finds out what's going on in your cellular structure, and helps cure you. Let me ask you, is the physician in your body, in your cells? The answer is no. The physician knows all about it. Discovered what the tools told him or her about it. Didn't mean he was in the body. Are you starting to understand? Innate is not in your chemistry. Innate knows what's going on in your chemistry. But it doesn't mean that innate is in your cells. Innate must be in the DNA. Ah, you're getting closer. Yes, there is part. If you even can describe a part of a multidimensional source, there is an influence in your DNA. There's more. Where is your DNA? First, your DNA is all over your body. There's trillions and trillions of parts and pieces. So innate is there in an influential way, but doesn't live in your DNA. Well, where is it? Where is innate? Must be in something a little more esoteric. How about this? It's in your consciousness. Now you're even getting a little closer. There is indeed innate in your consciousness. I told you earlier that innate works with subconscious areas. So that means that innate has to know, are you ready? The blocks of your consciousness to healing, because innate knows all things about that which you are thinking about your chemistry. Now we have to back up there for a moment and remind you. Healing often is a process of you removing the codes that don't belong there for your healing and implanting in you instead the codes that do. Now, and then the fourth one, hidden attributes about the innate. What else is there, perhaps that we have not talked about? So in this first section, we're going to identify it to the best we can. But in that identification, there will be repeat, and that is for those who have heard the channelings before, the teachings of my partner, the answers to the questions for over a year here, you're going to hear things we've covered. Some have asked, well, haven't you covered this before, Kryon? And the answer is yes, but there are so many watching this right now who've never heard this. And the second part of this is you can't hear it too often. And I say that because it's not just information. This is an energetic transmission of truth about your own body and what's in it. You can't hear that too often. The reason I say that is because even right now, for the one who said, I've heard this before, I will say, well, then why don't you use it? Because I can tell you really have no idea what you have. I gave an expression a long time ago, a metaphor about so many things spiritual, but the innate is like this. You've been given a 747 airplane, and all you've done all your life is to run it up and down the runway. And you're proud of yourself. Wow, look at me in this big airplane, and look how fast it can go on this runway, with really no idea that you can fly. The innate is that way. What is it? It's been called the smart body. Right away, we will tell you this. The innate is not in 3D. It's not chemistry. And you'll say, well, what is it if it is not chemistry? Is it consciousness? Partly. We're going to get to that when you ask, where is it? Consider there is an overlapping consciousness of your cellular structure that has nothing to do with your brain. It's the best I can do to give you an idea of what is there right now, as you sit there, as you watch this, called innate. And that overlapping consciousness of your cellular structure means it's a field, perhaps, within your body. Not a field that is outside of your body, but within your body. But it encompasses every single process the body has. Every single process. Now, I'm not talking just about cellular process, because your consciousness is also an attribute of your body. So innate is hooked into your consciousness. Question, is your innate hooked into your spirituality? Now, that's a question for the next week. We'll get there. But let's define what it does that is so fascinating, that has interested scientists and those who study spirituality, and even those who study technical things, because the innate encompasses so many things. Let's look at what it does. It's called a smart body because it knows about itself more than you do. It knows also about subconscious things. Now, this is one of the giveaways. The innate can go around your subconscious programming as well, because it knows what is and is not happening in your body. You may think you know what is and what is not happening in your body, but it is developed by your consciousness, which includes blocks to what may or may not be happening. Your innate has no blocks. Innate, let's go right to the miracle. Your innate is responsible for spontaneous remission. Period. There may be things in you right now that you are distressed about, or you might say so intensely fighting to change, or there's disease and all. And it's all within your own consciousness, within your own, I would say, logic to discover what am I going to do next, and how can I do this, and how can I do that, and who will I see, and what will I write, and all of that in order to solve them. I want you to picture for a moment, what if it could all be solved in an instant? Innate is known for that. It's known for that. So what does that tell you? It tells you you may be fighting a battle that you don't have to fight. There are so many things innate is responsible for. Dealing with your own conscious, not your subconscious. Innate knows what's wrong with you. That's why muscle testing works. It works with the innate. How is it that you can test your body and find out things like, for instance, are you allergic to this or that or whatever? And you'll have no idea. And before you ever turn to medicine to find out, the innate will tell you because it knows. Let me give you my favorite one. It's the consternation of medicine. Early on, the drug companies, in order to do scientific tests of their own work and their own drugs, had to use the scientific method, had to do blind studies, and so they developed the sugar-coated pill. So they do a test to find out how their drug works, and some of those pills, clearly marked to them but not to the others, they give to people, and there's nothing in them. And what they discovered early on was called the placebo effect. In other words, the people had the reaction that they were told they would have, even though there was nothing in the pill. And the consternation to researchers is the placebo effect, because it skewed the data. They didn't like it, because it really didn't tell them much about what they were doing, because it kept getting in the way. And this is where I say, humans, what is wrong with you? That you didn't take a look and go, oh my, there's something grand happening. Let's study the placebo effect. But they didn't. They simply reported it. Oh, by the way, we have to throw away about 100 people here who got well anyway. Oh, that's the innate. In other words, your consciousness took a pill, and in that pill was the thought, it's going to do this or do that or cure this or cure that. And you took the pill, and it did. That's innate. What is it? Where your consciousness can be sharpened so much that you simply think about something and your innate then goes all the way. Spontaneous remission, placebo effect, homeopathy, it's all there. That's what it is. Would you like to know more? Where is it? How are you going to use it? Would you like to know? All of these channels are available for free and will be. You do not have to buy these programs, dear ones, for these channels. This is a promise that my partner has made. And so, you'll be able to hear all four and to learn more. Are you interested? You should be. This is a miracle about to happen in your own body. I'm Kryon, in love with humanity and the majesty within it. And so it is.
And from that beautiful space, that beautiful floaty space that many of you are still within, I invite you to gently bring your awareness back into your body. You may open those eyes if you've had your eyes closed. And as we become more present in our body and more grounded, I want to announce who our special guest is, although many of you already know that joining us for this section of the program is Matt Kahn. And Matt, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. Well, we want to tell everyone about you, although I find it surprising that there's people out there who don't know about you.
That's right. And may I say, it's such a huge energetic footprint that he offers this planet, and such a short bio tells me a lot about him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Matt Kahn is the author of the best-selling books, Whatever Arises, Love That. Everything is here to help you, and the universe always has a plan. God bless you for saying that. He is a spiritual healer, highly attuned, empathic healer and teacher, and he serves the awakening and evolution of sentient beings everywhere throughout this heart-centered planet, and especially in his offerings that he has, and that is what he does.
Now, his global audience is finding the support that they seek to feel more loved, to feel more awakened and empowered to the greatest possibilities in life during this critical time in history. Now, Matt's spontaneous awakening arose from an out-of-body experience in early childhood, and it's through his direct experiences with the ascended masters and the archangels throughout his life that has helped him deliver what he's doing today.
Using his intuitive abilities of seeing, hearing, feeling, and my favorite, direct knowing, Matt brings forth revolutionary teachings through both the written and spoken word. This assists energetically sensitive beings in healing the body, awakening the soul, and transforming reality through the power of love. And that is what Matt is all about. Welcome to this program, Matt.
Thanks for having me. It's truly an honor to be here with you both.
I feel the power of love already.
I want you to, we always like to know, how did this happen? And then you can go from there.
Sure, my God, how did this happen? Well, when I was about 8 years old or so, I had an out-of-body experience. And for me at that time, it felt like I went to sleep on any ordinary night, and I went to sleep and I had a dream. And I found myself in a garden filled with the most exquisite colors of light bursting in every flower and petal. And I was raised in the 80s, and during the 1980s, there was a very big campaign about don't talk to strangers. And as a kid, if I was somewhere without my parents, I felt very scared. My first sense in this garden was, I don't know where I am, but I feel totally safe. And I even felt more love than I've even felt from my family. And I was held in a love I couldn't explain. And as I walked through this garden, I found myself moving through this field of waist-high flowers. And I can feel my 8-year-old body moving through this thick brush of waist-high flowers. And then I simultaneously realized I was floating above the flowers while also seeing myself moving through them. And I couldn't explain this, but the love was so intense, it didn't need explaining. And then about 10 feet in front of me, I saw this figure in a white robe, shoulder-length dark hair and a dark beard, motioning me towards him. And I had no idea who he was. I was raised Jewish in my upbringing. But I felt a familiarity. And as I floated about, close enough to him, I could see this pure light pouring out of his eyes. But as an 8-year-old, I kind of thought of like scary movies where people kind of roll their eyes up and in their head. I had that funny thought, and it broke the state of the experience. And I immediately fell through the garden. I fell through the sky, and I fell back in my body. And only when I landed back in my body did I realize I left it. And then in the corner of my eye, in the doorway of my bedroom, I saw the same figure motioning me towards him in this white energy, or etheric energy, as I would now call it. And the very next day, I went to a friend's house, and I had the most extraordinary experience. And in their living room, they had a painting. And I said, that's who I met. Who is that? And he said, Matt, that's Jesus. And I go, well, I don't know who he is, but that's who I met. And then my friend had this reaction like, Matt, you could not have met Jesus. And I didn't know why it seemed so illegal at the time, but in my heart, I knew that's who I had met. And from that experience, I began to, in my peripheral vision, have the sense of angels walking with me. And I didn't even know what an angel was, but I knew that's what they were. And I started having these direct knowings where I just knew.
In my life, I never planned To go from an engineering mind, he would say, to one that was so illogical to so many. I never planned to lose all my friends because of it. Yes, you did. The potential of the planning was there, and you walked right into it, my partner. And in the process, you see what happened. What you considered to be illogical or negative or something you would never do, from a higher perspective, from the high road looking back, from the time perspective of looking back on your life, it was grand. It was perfect. And here, my partner, now you find yourself sitting here, talking to others through me, saying you can do that too. You can find these things. There is no plan that says you're going to be a victim all of your life. That is not why you're here. You may have planned to have some difficulties so that you could come and be awakened in a grand way. Have you thought about that? What if simply listening to this and being here is part of a grander plan that said that you will come to this planet and at some time and some place you'll find yourself in a way you never thought you would, and nothing will be the same from then on. Nothing. Dear ones, this is perhaps the beginning of the healing you came for. Some healings come with realization. If you ask a psychologist how they do what they do, they would say, when someone comes to us with an issue, with a problem in their life, we slowly guide them to a place where by themselves they will see what is making it happen. And when they realize that they are creating it themselves, something happens within their synapse in their brains, and they get better. Do you see the pattern? So you sit today in a way that touches your soul, and I tell you, can you see it now? Do you understand now that there might be grandness in your future? There may be healing, extended life. This may be the start of why you came. I speak to an audience. Some are in their 20s, some are in their 80s. It doesn't matter. You're all one age to spirit. Because when you return, you will always be the one age then as well. Everyone goes through the cycles of age. And so, dear ones, you have a commonality of humanism, but more than that is a commonality of the love that's in your soul, the setup that is there, the grandness of the creative source. In the circle of 12, we reveal a system. It is a system of teaching and learning that I have given my partner, where there is a metaphor of going from what you think you know to what you don't know. It's like an allowance to say, I'm going somewhere, I don't know where it is. I'm going somewhere across a bridge that I never have seen, to a place where I'll be, where I don't know what it is, I don't know what I'm experiencing, I don't know what to expect, I can hardly wait to go. Now that in itself is a logic. But some of you already start to realize that in all that you think you know, through all the education, through all that you have been taught even in the religious sectors, you still don't know everything. And there is starting to be the acknowledgement, there is so much I don't know. And then there are those who give permission. Dear Spirit, show me what I should have. Show me what I should know. Show me what I should see. Give me the rest of the story, because now I realize, as intellectual as I might want to be regarding God, the things of God, the energy of God, all of these things, I only know a piece of it. You don't know what you don't know. So let's discover together some new things, or perhaps even a healing itself. There's the bridge in front of us yet again for over a year. We have crossed this bridge together, and we've said so many descriptions of what it may look like or not look like, or how deep or wide the chasm is. It doesn't matter. It's all a metaphor, and it's in your mind, in your brain, to go across that bridge. Let's do it now together. Take my hand and go into that which you have asked for, unknown things. Right now, take my hand. Let's go. When you go into an unknown place, dear ones, especially a multidimensional place, you cannot identify truly what is there. You only have that which is the teaching of 3 or 4D. You only know what you know. So when you observe things that you've never seen before, sometimes they take on a shape that is familiar, so that you feel safe with it. The door that you see, the portal perhaps that you go through, the theater that we go to every single time. They're not really doors or theaters or chairs. They're a magnificent metaphor of the energy of what Spirit wants you to know about yourself. You're grander than you think. You're part of the creation itself. You are endless, and that means you existed before the universe along with Spirit, and you will long after it's gone. Your soul is part of creation. Your soul has a name that you only know when you're not here. And you're standing in that energy because you asked to. You see, it's time on this planet for humans to understand that there is more to them than they've been told anywhere. Walk with me to the theater. Each one of you is doing this alone, and yet all of you do it together. So there may be 1,000 theaters tonight. There may be even more over time, each one of you. And yet you do it collectively with me right now. No matter when you see or hear this message, you're doing it all together. Let's go to that theater right now, everyone. I want you to please, as before, walk down the stairs of the audience section and on to the stage, dear ones, together. So you will see a chair. As always, there is a chair, and you will sit in the chair. What was the channel of today? Let us speak of it. The subject is the grandness, the attributes, the amazing innate. That is the teaching. The teaching was, where is innate? And the conclusion was not a good one. In other words, there is no where. It's like love, we told you. There is no where. It exists, and you know it exists, and you're not sure. Well, let me tell you something. You just walked into a place where it exists. Here is the revelation for you. Innate is part of your soul. Innate. That thing that is so related to the very chemistry and molecular structure of your body resides in your soul. And that's where you happen to be sitting right now. I'm going to give further channels on innate. The next one, I'll tell you a little bit about how it's used and how it reacts, and you're going to see it cannot do what it does unless it is part of that which is your spiritual self, your grander self, your bigger you, your soul. Here you sit on that stage, and the question is, where is innate? Meet innate, dear ones, because this, perhaps similar to what we have done before, but with more information now that you have through this month of teaching, all that is innate sits in front of you right now. Let's turn on the lights and see what innate looks like. Let's not. Let's keep innate in the dark. But let's remove the barrier between you and innate. Now that barrier exists so firmly when you're in 3D because it's the smart body. And so it knows things you don't know. So there's always the implication that there is something between you, perhaps a veil or a barrier, and innate knows things and you don't know things, and this ought to tell you it's part of your soul. But right now, let's take the barrier away. What is it that you'd like to say to the smart body? What command, as it sits there and listens, would you give it? This innate is not mysterious. It's the love of the Creator manifested in the chemistry of your body for processes that you don't even understand yet, which include spontaneous remission, longer life. Do you know what you're sitting in front of? You're sitting in front of part of you, perhaps which you've never met. Let's start this way. What would you have innate say to you that the barrier is now lifted and you're listening with one voice? So many attributes there to list, but with one voice, innate is going to say to you right now, why haven't you talked to us more? Why haven't you spoken to us daily where you're sitting here with processes that'll save your life? That's why we came. That's why we were designed into your chemistry. That's why we're here. Why didn't you talk to us? And so your answer at this point, as you stay in that chair for the rest of this time, will be what you want to say to innate. What commands will you give regarding your body, your health, your peace, your situation to the smart body? Because it has clipboards right now and it's writing. We've said that before. We've been here before in this exercise, but this one a little different. Now you know who you're talking to. You're talking to that which is you, a part of you with your name, your cellular structure, multidimensional, part of your soul, and you have that which you never had before, permission to speak. What are you going to say? Why don't you start with this, dear innate? Thank you for being part of me. Thank you for listening. Now here's what we're going to do today. And the rest is up to you. How about a healing that you came for? And when you leave this place, this is real, dear ones. You'll feel it when you leave. Stay. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. I am Kryon asking you to come closer. I am Kryon in love with humanity. And so it is.